Hello guys, it's Technology Freak and I wanted to say something. The Zoom H1 Essential may not be around for a little while. I know I've been waiting on it for months and I've been preparing for it. Um, I am gonna see about maybe getting a backup recorder sometime. But sometime I'd want to maybe look at the Sense player and maybe see about having someone get the Sense player. The Zoom H1 Essential is for recordings only. And let me talk to you about something. The convenience of a digital. Oh my gosh. The convenience of a digital voice recorder is supposed to be that you turn it on, and if it's in record standby or rec standby, as Zoom calls it, you can just simply press the record button and record. That's how simple it is, right? Well, on these smartphones, like iPhones, Android phones, all that stuff, your Galaxy phones, your Pixel phones, your uh, Motorola phones for you Android people, iPhone SE for you iPhone users, which I'm an iPhone user, obviously. Um, I uh, I basically I basically so there are widgets that can make it easy to to find the recording app like voice memos and then start recording. It's as simple as that. However, what do you got to do before you get to that widget? You got to unlock your phone, of course. You can either use Face ID in the case of iPhones or Touch ID in the case of the iPhone SE 3 and 2, but the 2 and the 3. Um, and on Android, it's either fingerprint unlock or face unlock. So you got two options on most, if not all, Android phones. But it's supposed to be like a digital voice recorder, okay? It's supposed to be like that. The widget's supposed to act like a power button. And it's like, okay, it's like turn on the voice recorder. In the case of a digital voice recorder, it's to hold down the switch or push the switch in a certain direction or just hold down the switch or press a button in certain models. The Elton X is a good example. Press and hold the button. It's not the best voice recorder out there. And Zoom recorders are the better recorders because they got the Tech Piano Player Kid's already doing tutorials on the Zoom H1 Essential. He did a tutorial on how to change languages and uh, send files to and from the recorder to the computer. In his case, it was a Mac, and I'm like, you know what? That's totally fine. Maybe I should. Maybe I should do something like that. And another thing is, I like the convenience of a voice recorder like that. I like the convenience. It's a good thing. See, convenience is everything to me. I like note takers, but it's like back in the 2000s and even the 2010s, Braille note takers like the Braille Note Apex and whatnot, they were easy to turn on with just the flick of a switch. And nowadays you gotta hold down a button. And then you gotta wait for the unit to power up. Like the Braille device that I got on top of the Mac that I got over there. Which that's cool and all. I mean, the only thing that does that now are the more simple Braille displays that just press a button for about a few seconds and it's on. If you flick the switch toward you on a Braille Note Apex or any other Braille Note before the touch, it would turn on in about 2 seconds, because literally what it is, and people have explained this, this is some technical stuff. This is stuff I wouldn't have known 10 years ago, because I had a Braille Note Apex about 10 years ago. It runs Windows CE, I knew that. But like literally, as you turn it on, it's like, it's literally turning on from like a sleep mode. It's like if you were to unlock an iPhone from the locked state. Like for example, if I were to grab my iPod over here, yes, I still have an iPod, don't judge me. So it's locked right now. If I press the button, it's awake. And then I just press it to lock it again. See, that's what the Braille notes were like. You would turn it on, and about 2 seconds later, it's on, and you hear Eloquence, same menu, or something like that. Or Kino Gold if you had that voice. I've used Eloquence for a really, really long time, and I didn't even know that's what that was until about 2014. Late 2014, early 2015 or something like that. I've used Eloquence for 11 years. Okay, I've used it on a Braille Note Apex, I've used it on JAWS, I've used it on NVDA, I've used it on my iPhone once, because everyone knows iPhones have to have Eloquence because the almighty blind community has to have Eloquence on every device. That's a stereotype, don't quote me. That is just a stereotype. But my point still stands. Literally, when you turn the Braille Note Apex or Braille Note Empower or the Braille Note PK or even the original Braille Note. Fun fact, I even have an original Braille Note on my watch list on eBay right now, waiting to be purchased. Yeah, I literally have it on my watch list. I want to get that thing so bad. It's like, that thing was released in 2000, I believe. So it was like the first ever Braille Note to be released. I thought it was called something else, but no, they literally call it the Braille Note. And it's been that way since the beginning, and it always will be. For 24 years, Human Warriors released the Braille Note. to a lot of blind people, and even HIMS has had their own take on the Braille note. The Braille stents, which I've never had, but essentially, I believe it works the same way, except with the U2. The U2 might not work the same way. Then there was a Braille Sense and a Braille Sense Plus. I'm not sure what the different models are. It's like iOS and Android. I don't know the Braille Sense like I know the Braille Note. Because the Braille Note has the 4 signature thumb keys. That's how it's always been until the touch came about. It added 3 new keys in the middle, home, menu, and back. Or in the case of, well, it's all Android based now. It's not the way it is. The only way to stimulate a Braille note from yesteryear is to lock the Braille Note Touch Plus and unlock it, and it will just come to life. That's different because you can lock the Braille Note Apex. However, it's through exam mode, and you can kind of lock the Brilliant series of devices with exam mode, but that's kind of a weird way to put a passcode on it. But the Braille Note Apex and all those other Braille Notes, you would turn it on, and a couple of seconds later, you hear Eloquence, say main menu, or Keynote Gold. And it essentially was never turned off, technically speaking. It was just more on a sleep mode. To really get it to boot up, you have to press the reset button close to the back of the unit on the left side. You have to hold it in until you hear 2 beeps. One that's kind of soft, one that's a little louder. And then that's when you reboot the device or reset. And that's like a very, very, very often done thing, because some people, if some people are not careful, those things can legit freeze up on you if you don't know what you're doing. When I recently had a Braille Note, back in 2018 it would have been now. That's as recent as it gets. But anyway, I recently had a Braille Note in 2018, and I had to frequently reboot it or reset it because the thing would freeze up, and people think, oh, you're just typing too fast. Well, if you don't know, people, Windows CE is the underlining OS underneath the Braille Notes Keysoft layer of applications and or menus. They were not really called applications back then, they were called programs, I think. And they had the navigation. They didn't call them apps. They didn't until the touch. The Braille Note Touch is essentially your 7-inch Android tablet with a Braille keyboard on top of it with a Braille display in front of it. That's essentially the simplest and easiest way I can describe the unit without even having one. besides it having the thumb keys and the three Android keys in the middle of the thumb keys, in between the longer thumb keys, I think, because I think two of them were shorter and two of them were longer, and then from what I heard from videos, I think that's how it is. I'm not sure. Never had one in hand. I've never felt one or used one, but I'm gonna forget about that. But note takers are kind of like a convenience thing for me if it serves its own purpose. Like, for example, I can maybe take notes on something, but do I necessarily have to have it? No, I don't. But it's cool. The BT Speak came out in April, I believe, last month, from Blazy Technologies. They were going to have two models, the Pro and the Basic, but the Basic was just not selling for them. And they were like, you know what? Lots of people like the Pro. We're just going to sell the Pro. I'm kind of happy about that because at least it still retains the basic functionality of what the Braille and Speak used to be. Because I remember on my channel here, I've reviewed I've done a few videos on the Braille and Speak, which is age old, which is like over 3 decades old at this point. The one that I reviewed, correction, was actually released 30 years ago. It was the Braille and Speak Scholar from APH and I believe Freedom Scientific at the time, I think. No, I think it's APH and Blazy Engineering. And it's not Blazy Speech, it's the Votrax TTS, or Votrax speech synthesizer. You know, the one that literally sounds monotone, the one that literally doesn't have any emotion, or something like that. I don't know. I did like I cannot go down to the very, very, very low pitch. I had an embosser with the Votrax engine in it, and it was a Tiger Braille embosser. It was one of those that would come with it was a part of equipment or something like that. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm just gonna go on to another topic. Another thing that would be convenient is, I don't know, having a computer with a Braille display attached to it. That's where the Optima comes in, and it's not coming until December of 2024. As far as I'm concerned. Anyway, anyways, I don't know. I'm just gonna go back to the recorder topic. I'm going to talk about recorder boot times. So, I mentioned how the Elton X takes at least 8 seconds to boot. That's because it has its own internal system, and I think it runs a version of either Windows or Linux. Or it may have its own proprietary OS. But it takes about 8 to 10 seconds to boot up. And then you got this MX1 Essential, which when you hold down the button, you hear the sound. And it takes at least 4 seconds to power up. Much faster than even the Ultranex. It's got pre-recorded TTS clips, and you'll hear once I do the tutorial series, which there will not be too many right now. There will be an updating tutorial when they have an update available, which they might. And the Olympus here, I got it in here somewhere. Oh, am I trying to find it? No. I got the Olympus here. So if I 1, 2.
Battery level high.
So I'll hold down the power button or switch to
Battery level high.
So it takes about 1 second to turn on and then 2 seconds to like boot up. It takes 2 seconds to probably boot up. And and that's it. It takes 1 second to power up and 2 seconds to boot up, I think. But a recorder cannot boot up instantly. It has to boot up some type of OS. But that isn't to say that it doesn't boot up instantly. The Olympus VN7200 that I got back in December 2016, even though I can't see it visually, I can probably tell when it actually boots up. It takes at least probably about a second, maybe half a second to boot up, because it's a very, very, very simple UI. Depending on the UI, depending on how many functions are on the device, it will take a certain amount of time to boot up. For example, iOS, it takes about 15-20 seconds to boot up because of the fast response time that the A16 chip has. And then you got your Android side of things. It can take anywhere from 25 seconds to about 45 seconds to boot up, depending on your depending on the processor. For Windows, it can vary. For a Surface device with fast boot up on, it should take at least 5 to 10 seconds to boot up. No, not joking. For my main computer that runs Windows, that you've probably had seen me on with my HomePod review, that takes at least 20 to 30 seconds with fast boot enabled. Now, that is completely up to the system. It's up to the system. With the Mac, it takes up at least... Now, the start time, that's not part of it. Because Macs boot up differently. Windows, it boots up is, man. Mac OS, the macOS startup time, it pretty much is at startup. And then you got a whole 10 to 15 second, or maybe even 20-second boot time. For older Macs, it's probably like 25-30 seconds. I'm not real sure because I haven't really owned an older Mac, so don't quote me on that. For a MacBook or anything with a hard drive, it'll definitely take longer. With a Toshiba laptop or anything like older Toshiba laptops or old Dell or HP laptops, it'll take at least it'll take a little while. All right, like maybe 30 to 45 seconds. For older Windows laptops, it will take a while. Most laptops until about, I don't know, 20. This may not be the case, but like 2012 or 2013, most have had hard drives. Some have probably started to get solid state drives, also known as SSDs, in their computers. I mean, into them. Well, I don't know, yeah. But this is Ken on the Technology Freak YouTube channel. I'm done.